How about now? Unmute my mic. There we go. Special issues. We are doing a special show today because there are some issues that have come up that we need to address in comics that we always talk about on this show. And of course, I'm going to open up the floor. Oh, gone again? Okay. Get rid of this headset. Let's see here. I'm putting the invite in there. Don't know why it says I'm mute. Maybe this headset. It's not working properly. Let's see here. So let's see. I don't know. I'm not sure if I have sound or not, but
You're good now.
Oh, am I? Okay.
You're good. You go ahead.
Okay. Good. So yeah, so anyway, so that's the first thing we're gonna discuss. So what's happening lately is I've talked to a few creators myself who have told me that yeah, their hope is to work in the mainstream, and for the most part, that is a passion that I think a lot of people in the industry, myself included, share. I would love to do a X-Men book. I would love to do a book of Wolverine. But I'm also aware myself of maybe the story that I want to tell Wolverine isn't one of the ones that they will let me now. They wouldn't let me do that. Oh yeah, Randy, hey.
You might need to switch mics. Your audio is behind your visual.
Is it? Okay. I think what's happening is that there's some problems with this microphone. Then let me see if I can switch mics and if it'll work. I think it seems to work better when someone's there. Am I choppy now?
No, you sound fine now.
Yeah. See, I think I was noticing that there's a problem.
And your video is matched up well too. You're good to go.
Yeah, but if you leave out of here, I believe there's an issue when you leave. Let's see if it happens again.
I won't leave then. I'm just going to shut my camera off and you go ahead and do what you need to do.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. So there is a belief in this industry that we have to work in the mainstream, we need to be polite. We need to be respectful of the work that has come before us, and we need to be I want to say almost beholden to the current state of the industry. I can tell you that probably is untrue. When you have someone who can go online on their Twitter and say "f you" "f you" to someone who has died, who literally is considered maybe the grandfather of the industry, and then not 6 months later be hired by that company, there's something to be said there. But I do want to open the chat up to everyone. The link is in the chat. You may come in and discuss it. I'm willing to discuss. We want to have a discussion about this topic. Do you want to work in the mainstream, and what's that mean to you today? Is working in the mainstream as important as it once was? I used to think that was a formula. You start in the indies, you work your way up to becoming a name at Marvel, DC, wherever it is you want to work at. Is that still the case, and is that still a viable option today? Some creators I talk to, they'll tell me no. I had Joe D. McPhee in the chat. Hello, Joe. Raging ABC, good afternoon. Genuine Comics says Randy makes every show better. He does. If working in the mainstream is something that you can still want to do, we love to hear from you. If you're happy being in the indies, we want to hear about that too. Personally, myself, I am very happy in the indies. Indie comics has been very, very good to me. And, I don't think that I have me personally, I don't have any desire to go elsewhere. Now, that's not to say anything bad about anybody who does, because there are people who have that dream and they want to work there. Randy, are you still listening? Are you still backstage? I'm pretty sure he isn't.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I was gonna ask if you felt opportunities to work in industry. You said no. I don't want to do it.
Me?
Yeah.
No, at this point, no, I wouldn't do it. But back in the 80s, I was offered an internship at Marvel. And I burned that bridge pretty hard when I found out how much it paid. Because I said, no way. No, I'm not. Because at the time I was going through a divorce, and that was really my main concern was making sure I was still around for my daughter. But but hey, a chance to move to New York, a chance to work at Marvel, I was going to jump at it. And then he told me that it only paid $9,000 a month or $9,000 a year. I'm sorry. And I laughed at him. I said,
$9,000 a year.
No way. No way am I going out there for that. Yeah.
$9,000 a year in New York. You'd be saying in New York for $9,000 a year.
Yeah. He's like, well, you get an apartment with a couple other people and get a part-time job when you're not interning and blah, blah, blah. And no, I'm not doing that.
And what year was that?
Oh, dude, that was 85. Sorry. That was a long time ago. That was 85, 86. Yeah.
What's sad is that from what I'm understanding now, the prices really haven't changed.
No.
I know an editor. First of all, I know an editor who worked at Marvel. She worked there for a while. She was a person that I knew because she was in the same city. I seen her every week. The prices didn't change. Even if she went up to assistant editor, if she went to assistant editor, the prices didn't change much. I knew another editor who told me they lived in Jersey. They made the commute every day because
it's across the bridge. Yeah.
John Anthony, I see you trying to join your device won't connect. So.
Your devices are not connected, John. You need to step out and try again.
Yeah. Make sure you give your computer or your phone permission to access, and there
you go.
We'll let her have you on though. Yeah. Yep. Cameron says, "Wow, slap in the face." Yeah, it was. Randy, did you? Joe says, "Could you please rephrase the question? I don't consider working for Marvel and DC the same as working on my own comic that becomes mainstream." So yeah, Randy, I guess that's the question too, because you said this. You've asked me, "What is the mainstream anymore?" Exactly.
Yep.
There's John Anthony. All right,
John's back connected. I'm going to add him.
Okay. Oh, you got it. Okay, go ahead.
Let me get it. Yeah. I'll be your board man today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, John, can you hear us?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
I think my original goal was to bring my characters back in the '90s into Marvel Comics and do a run with the X-Men during the Hunt for Xavier storyline. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was like directly after Onslaught. But that was before I realized that they plan these storylines months and sometimes years ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of fell by the wayside, and my goal then became to just make it to San Diego Comic-Con when I went for the first time in the 2000s, and fell in love with that concept, but realized pretty quickly that my work at least would have gotten swallowed up whole at that show. But I think now, finding my niche with my newest project for the last 4 years, I'm perfectly content remaining in the indies and seeing how things have changed in the industry, not just in comics, but in so many other industries. I mean, I can kind of compare it to professional wrestling, where all these guys who your goal was to make it to the WWE, and now it's like you can make a really good living as long as you can set yourself apart and do something completely and totally different. And that's where all these guys from like AEW and Impact and stuff like that are doing. And all these crowdfunding Kickstarters are like, are we allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, we're TVMA DLSV. Mike, I'm gonna mute you because whatever you're doing is close to your microphone. So unmute when you want to say something.
Yeah, sorry, I moved my screen a little bit. It's fine now. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll leave you alone then. I can still hear you crackling though.
Oh yeah, that's my smokes.
No problem.
Yeah.
So,
you know, John, you make a good point. We joke about the connection between wrestling and indie comics a lot, and that when I was younger, I was 16, 17, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to WWE. I wanted to go, and when I turned 18, unfortunately, they put a wrestling school, professional wrestling school, like about 20 minutes from my house. And I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go with $75 a week. And I'm like, I've got to go. And me and my buddy, we went down there. It was Thunder Zone Wrestling. We threw down our $75. I trained with Zach Gowen. He was in my school in Livonia, Michigan. It was an old Arbor Drugs. I'm not sure if everybody had an Arbor Drugs, but it was a closed out Arbor Drugs store. And that's where we wrestled at. And that's where we had a ring and everything. And so there is this. It's weird that there's this crossover between wrestling and indie comics. The thing is, I decided not to be a wrestler because I got tired of driving, sometimes 200 miles, getting beat up, getting bruised, and driving back home another 200 miles with no money. Maybe you made some opportunities. I mean, you probably know what I'm going to say here, but a lot of times these promoters will lure you with the idea that, hey, I'm going to have scouts here. So you made that 250 mile trip because you were told there was a scout there,
right.
Hopefully he was one of those 5 people that were in the audience, because otherwise it was my ex-girlfriend who told me. She says, look, one day you're going to get hurt and you're going to be 3 states away, and we're not going to be able to get to you in time. So.
And the other thing with that, I mean, just the dangers of that with now being a creator, like if something happens and you can't use your hands or you've taken too many shots to the head, I mean, there goes absolutely everything.
Yeah.
It's a little comparative to me, being on the road for going to conventions.
Yeah.
Like I finally have a vehicle that I can pack all my stuff into, and I'm not driving like this. And I can see out the back window when I'm driving and everything. So it's kind of nice. But I remember the days where we'd be packed into, my Saturn. It would be 2 of us, and there would be you couldn't see anything. And I had no idea that this car was like I mean, we could have probably died at any minute, you know, driving 500 miles to Albuquerque, or trying to come back the same night.
Yeah.
And because you didn't want to pay for that hotel room because you knew that the convention probably wasn't going to be that fruitful.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then after that first time, I was just like, you know what, I'll drop another $100. I'm not going to die trying to make it back at the same night.
Yep.
I'll tell you, you know, the mainstream is tough to get into. Kelly Wasdorp put up a comment. I had some friends working in independent comics in Nigeria. What would you recommend for breaking into the U.S. market? Keep picking up jobs. Eventually, their artwork will be noticed. I will be quite honest with you. Them being in Nigeria, people are going to of their own prejudices, like, oh, am I going to get the work, you know, if I pay them? So they're going to have to work that much harder to build up a reputation, you know, of putting out quality work and delivering it.
Is there going to be a like a pay difference as well? I think there's kind of that discrepancy for anybody outside of the US that you think you're going to get stuff for like, you're going to pay virtually nothing and they're still going to have to turn out this top quality work. That's another thing. I mean, because like it's weird. I had a
if I can cut in here for a second, that's why you see a lot of talent used at Marvel and DC from other countries is because their standard of living is so much lower that they're actually paying them over in a second or third world country. They're paying them an incredibly good wage for what over in the States would be considered to be poverty level or below.
You know, I can't dismiss anybody who wants to work at Marvel or at DC because that could be the dream of so many. Again, you know, I've had things I wanted to do and I was lucky enough to be able to do those things. But is there going to be a mainstream for these people? I mean, when you got crowdfunding books making millions of dollars, and I'm not seeing the same thing happening for some of the books that Marvel's putting on the shelf. I was at a comic store recently, and I think I told you, Randy, the books were hanging off the shelf because they were so deep. They couldn't get rid of them. Like,
you were at a used bookstore, right?
No, I was at a comic book shop.
A trade-in shop? No,
a comic book shop. Regular comic shop. Yeah,
Wow.
regular. Right. Yeah, LCS, and the books were stacked. I mean, like there was no need. There was like I could find any book I want. I was digging back through and I found, you know, Ronin, the Ninja Turtles book, first printing on his shelf still, ready to go, second, third, and no book was in short supply. So you start wondering, well, what is the mainstream? I mean, is the mainstream a book that makes, you know, $1 million on crowdfunding? Is it a book that makes $200,000 on crowdfunding? I'm gonna say this too because I've seen it, and you guys know I got friends all over the place. I got friends that own comic shops. I was at a shop and I got an email, and it was a picture of a company and someone taking a picture. And my buddy sent the picture and sent it. I don't want to out him, but it was a company that said, "Hey, if you order you ordered 10 of this book, we're gonna send you an additional 40."
Whoa!
They sent them additional 40 books. That's a lot of books to have to move.
That's interesting.
And then the same company went out there and said, "Hey, we're sold out." You know, we sold out. We're sold out to our whole supply. Well, yes, because my buddy now has 50 copies of that book sitting on his shelf, and only, you know, he only moved 3 of them. He gave me one, you know, because they were free. Now they weren't free technically because he didn't pay for the books, but he paid for that increased shipping.
Yeah. That's wow.
So Go ahead.
Was it an indie company or was it a more mainstream company that did that?
Oh, I could almost guarantee you it was a mainstream company, because if it was an indie company, Diamond would have told them hell no.
Yeah, well,
okay.
Well, it was, well, it's a company. It's an indie company as far as they don't have a Marvel and DC money, but people know of them depending on where you are locally. There, and but that was dirty. But it did move. It did make their numbers look a lot better because according to Diamond, they moved, all these books, even though they really just gave 40 away to any retailer who ordered 10 or more. Whether you wanted it or not, you were getting these 40 books.
Wow.
Those are going to sit in that dollar bin for like another 10 years until whatever character is there gets optioned for something.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's scary, because as an indie creator, sometimes you have to take a huge loss on things. And I've done that too. I did a series of books for the first 10 years of my career, and there was 9 issues total. And I told this to a couple of other people. I have stacks of those books still sitting in my house. And it's not like I was ordering thousands of them. I think my print runs were probably about 100, 125 each.
Yeah.
Like, how terrible is that after 10 years, and now it's been another 5, that I still have like shrink wrap stacks of 25 and 50 that I can't give away. So I'm going to start, I don't know, putting them in grab bags and like just throwing them at people at conventions and just being like, it touched you, you have to take it.
I put it as an add-on in my last campaign. I called it "Help Clean Out Randy's Basement."
See, I would do that, except the current campaign that I have right now is an all ages book, and these books that I still have stacks of are very much not all ages.
Gotcha.
So I don't want to brand it like that. Otherwise, that would be a great idea.
I've had people reach out to me because I also own a distribution company, and they're like, "Hey," I have people say, "Can I send you some books? It's better I have them sitting in your warehouse and moving out occasionally than sitting in my basement." And I've, that has been something that's helped us a lot. Mike, you've been pretty quiet on the subject.
Yeah.
You're not in America.
No. So mainstream comics here are usually bande dessinée, 48-page short stories that contain like are self-contained with same characters over and over again, having different adventures. So here they are still gigantic. The mainstream thing, like publishers like Dargo, L,
Hell.
and no L. Just
no. I said hell to the chat.
Hell. Yeah. I thought you said hell. I was like, what?
I thought I did too.
But like they're still and L actually does only indie books in the the Franco-Belgian region. So and they're big, and I would happily work for these because you get a really decent wage. They still ship millions a year, and the amount of comics that actually come out are usually once every half year, once every year, but their editorial department is a lot bigger. Like, they have to keep up a certain quality or they just bust, and we don't have such a tightly knit industry as America does, which makes it a lot easier. But yeah, as an indie creator, I would love to work for these bigger countries, bigger companies within Europe, because that is definitely a goal that you can be proud of. Like, I worked on Asterix, I worked on Lucky Luke, I worked on Storm, and the European Storm, not the DC one, I think.
Yeah, Marvel.
Yeah, that's how much I am into US comics.
Now
But
you got like you got like Marcosia, which is they do great work. So I guess for from your standpoint, a 2000 AD, that would be something
yeah,
you want to work for. And those companies are still, for the most part, held in high regard.
yeah,
It just got to the point here where and John, I'm not sure if you watched this particular show before, but we discussed that people, there was a couple of weeks ago, a couple months ago now, there was this rumor that took hold that said, hey, if you want to work for Marvel and DC, you better not be seen online talking about them. You better not be critical of them. And people started nitpicking, saying, oh, well, you can't, you said that you haven't read the comics, and, you don't read the comics and they're all shit. So how do you know they're shit if you said you don't read them? You said you haven't read the comics in, 10 years. So now, and it's like, well, the thing is, don't ever question me, because I don't put my fandom completely out there. I buy the comics in shame. And I've been buying them in shame for years. And so, but I never posted them there. But I'm at the comic shop on Wednesdays. Randy has talked to me before. Where you at? What you doing? I'm at the comic shop. And I'm buying these comics. So what I started doing was I said, so they're saying, I'm saying these books are crap, and I'm buying them. Hey, here's my haul. I started snapping photos of my haul, and I said, now, don't tell me not to say anything about these books being crap. I'm buying them. Tell you what, you're saying they're good. Show me your Wednesday haul. Crickets. Crickets. Not a single person took me up on it. Not that they didn't see it. Oh, they saw it. They just didn't. They just knew. Okay, well, he's got me on that one. Don't tell me. I'm telling you they're crap and I'm buying them. You're telling me they're good and you're not buying them. It was the weirdest.
Yeah.
It was
as
weird.
artists, we can all look at something and go, okay, I don't like that, like, and even if you're not an artist, you don't have to have eyes to know you stepped in crap.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Kelly said,
go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was like, Kelly said, I would love to see more diversity in the States. They are putting out quality work, and so much of it isn't getting seen. It's a shame.
Yeah.
And I think Kelly's got a point on a number of fronts. One of the things that I noticed with a lot of the criticisms from certain people with diversity in comics, not the movement, the actual act of it, was if I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. And so diversity for me on television was like the Cosby Show, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters. I can't recall a Latino family show. I can't really recall an Asian family show. But the most working class family you saw was Roseanne. And the most working class family you saw was Married with Children. You didn't see anything like that really truly reflected who I was, or like a single parent household, and public education, stuff like that. So now that we're seeing it more en masse, and not just with the characters, but with the creators, it's so shocking. I think and I use this term sarcastically, it's offensive because we're just not used to it. So when you start to see that, if you're not used to it, of course it's going to be hard to take, or just being like, okay, I don't recall that. But what I was going to say is, like you said, your Wednesday haul, and you're saying, you're calling it out.
Yeah.
I lived through 2 years of Rick Grayson, and and I was just like, all right. And when they finally brought him back, I'm like, that was the cheesiest way to bring him back. And I thought of like a dozen ways that they could have done that story without the forced amnesia line, without you know, this weird concept at the very end where he decides he's going to be happy because he has the flashback with Alfred, who says he wants more for his sons. And then he still kicks B to the curb because he can't fight the fact that he's still in Batman's shadow. I'm like, wait, who are you? Like, why are you you flip the coin and then you flip it back? Like, within the span of 2 issues. It just doesn't make sense to me. And that's why the vast majority of my pull list now is independent stuff, or at least what would be considered more independent stuff. It's not all super indie, but I have been backing a lot more Kickstarters and crowdfunding campaigns because I'm like, that's me. So I better put my money in that if I want people to believe that this is who I am.
I got to tell you, I feel the same way. In fact, Marvel just announced they're bringing back Ben Reilly, and I know why. I know why they're bringing back Ben Reilly. I won't discuss it here on this channel, but I know why they're bringing back Ben Reilly. It has nothing to do with the fact they want to. It's they got to keep that copyright from a certain somebody, and they better use that name anyway. There's another creator who has the name Ben Reilly for a character, and he's making a lot of waves, so they want to make sure they don't lose that. Mary Machine Gun says, "What up? What up?" Mary Machine gonna be joining us. Max Seville gonna be joining us on Tuesday on Livewire.
Nice.
Can't wait. Russ Leach says the reason so many people get hung up on mainstream versus indie is often because of a perceived amateur status of those creators that are not working for bigger publishers. The real fact of the matter is that if you are making money from comics, however small, and it's part of your salary that makes you a pro, that's it. Being professional comes with so many more aspects, than just where your salary is sourced or where you can get your book sold. Walking the walk as well as talking the talk.
Definitely.
And Russ is a man who has been, he's worked for all the big companies. And, I ran some things past him that I was told. He's like, no, that's BS. My company is still like, people are still calling him. People are still getting, he's still getting opportunities. He's still getting jobs. His phone is still ringing. So that's a great thing for Russ, because it tells me that there's no stigma, because Russ has been critical of the current content being put out. So there's no fear in being critical of it. In fact, it shows me if I'm an editor, and I remember looking at documentaries where I think it was it Frank Miller or Denny O'Neil? They were very critical of the current product when they got hired in. They were very critical of the product that Marvel and DC, their respective companies, are putting out, and they got hired in. They were this young group of young guys that came in and upset the status quo and shook it up. They weren't always accepted, but they shook it up. They shook things up. So let's see here. I can't move my stuff around here. I see that we got what you call it. You can bring him in. Let's see what he has. Let's see what Niobe has to say here. He's is he in the chat?
No, he's in the green room.
Okay. Yeah, bring him in. Let's see what Larry has to say.
I'm bringing him in because you're telling me to.
Not because
Larry,
he wants to, because you ordered him to.
And Larry, are you here to upset us?
Well, no, I don't know. I just saw an open link and I clicked on it.
I got my hands on the remove button.
No, Larry's I always joke that Larry's going to say the opposite of what I'm saying, but no, I think that Larry, what does mainstream mean to you now?
Nothing.
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 Enough.
So you don't want to work in the mainstream at all?
Oh God, no. Why would I want to work for someone and get paid a wage when I can work for myself? And it's the same reason why the Image founders left Marvel to begin with. You know what I mean? My grandfather worked for 50 years and doesn't even get a plaque. The big Todd McFarlane speech of how they can't even get a T-shirt or royalties on their covers, and the whole reason why they left is they want to have a bigger piece of the pie for the creations that they made that brought Marvel and DC, so much popularity.
but why? But now at the same time, and you get special issues, so I got to pay the bad guys sometimes. You are okay with you like you just signed the deal. You're going to be in Exciting Comics issue 11,
17.
17, 17. Sorry, 17 with that's through Antarctic Press.
Mm-hmm.
So that's you're pushing that. Is that as far as you want to go mainstream? Would you have taken that same deal if Marvel would say still had their icon brand and say want to put Niobe in there?
Well, the deal would be different because it's Marvel. Marvel would want to own Niobe. That's the difference, right? So Antarctic Press has basically, the Image deal where you own your own IP. And not only that, they allow you to continue to crowdfund as you have always been doing. So I said, let me get this straight. I get to run my Kickstarters and Indiegogos like I've always been doing, making it my own way. Plus, I get to publish through you and be on shelves in comic book shops. Yeah, done deal.
Yeah,
I do the same with fairies and ends. Yeah, it's it's their money, and if I can sell a couple of books at conventions for them, then lucky me.
If the difference is if you're with Marvel or DC, they're going to own your property, and you're not going to have any creative control over it anymore once you sign all that away. And the honest other thing is I don't think Marvel is out there looking for indie characters to scoop up. I don't think they need it. They can build, make characters in house. You know what I mean?
I had a discussion with someone on Lola's chat. A gentleman, he said that creation of Venom was from I think he meant the black suit. He didn't mean Venom was by a fan. And I'm like, I think Marvel just went ahead and paid that guy to get rid of him. Hey, it is a good idea to pay this guy to get rid of this kid.
They brought him in and he was supposed to write some stories, but that didn't happen for 20 or 30 years after the black suit debuted. And from what I hear, that kid, who's obviously a man now, still just couldn't write. So I think they went over his scripts and re-edited everything, but he's still got a writing credit, so he'll be in the annals of history now. So
you got the one. That's all it took is the one credit, and maybe that's all things people need. They just want that one credit. I got a friend. He might kill me for saying this. His name is Jesse, and he got credited. They took it. They posted his art, but they posted it under the wrong name. And his signature is there and everything, but it's the wrong name underneath in print. And he's like, look, there's my signature. There's my art. Wrong name. And I'm like, oh, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. It was I believe it was in a Marvel comic. And I'm like that because they used to post fan art. You remember that, the good old days. Yeah. Now our next topic, guys, is conventions are coming back. Yay! For some of us, right?
No, they're not. Not here.
Yeah. Not everywhere. But I was thinking, and I've said this even at about month 3 of the shutdown, there was a lot of all of a sudden mudslinging. I guess because creators were stuck in the house. They weren't going out on the road. You kind of get used to that. You kind of get used to that being your grind. And we started there started to be fights and burned bridges. And so I've called this section the Summer of Discontent. It says, as fans and creators alike prepare to return to Comic-Cons this summer, will the animosity and genuine hurt from bridges burned and things said online during the pause boil over in the physical space? And I gotta wonder, I mean, there are a few people that I would like to go and say, hey, you said this to me online. We need to settle that, or we need to figure this out, because I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be around for the next 6 months from con to con to con and see you and let that shit slide. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to Comic-Con to start trouble, but there was a lot of stuff that was said. John, what do you think? I mean, are you worried about that?
I do so few conventions that it's not really a worry for me. I'm naturally non-confrontational. I get worked up about stuff, and then I'm just like, great, I'm gonna have to see this person, and it's not even about a fight. It's just I don't like them. I'm not a fan of their work. I'm sitting 3 tables away from them, but I'm kind of friends with them, kind of thing. I think it's going to be one of those things. If it's fans to professionals, I think there's going to be a lot of forgiveness. I think if it's professionals to professionals where there were bridges burned, I think that's where the long memory is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be one of those things. But again, as a professional, you may not like that person. You may not like what they said. Again, it's kind of the same thing with professional wrestling. You may hate that person, but I got to work with you in the ring and we got to draw money.
Yeah.
Or they put us together on a project and you're going to be my editor or whatnot. So I'm going to work with you and I'm going to be professional about it. But I mean, I may still go on Twitter and talk shit. So I probably will. It's not maybe. I'm probably gonna do it.
That sounds like a definite.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I was actually talking to some guys about my campaign, and like I'm very much like what you see is what you get. Mm-hmm. I do not hide my emotions very well, but at the same time, I've figured out about myself. Like if I'm just cordial to you. Like if I'm just like somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good, man. How are you?" If that's like the extent of my conversation, it means I don't like you. I'm not comfortable around you. But if I'm joking with you, if I'm taking shots at you like to your face,
yeah,
it means you're cool with me. So like if anybody sees me in person and I'm making fun of you, but you're standing in front of me, like just know that that's my personality and that means I'm okay with you.
I'm close to the same way. I used to be a lot more like that until a creator told me I was they took it offensively. So I was like, "Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know." And I know.
Yeah,
that creator takes it that way. I'm comfortable with that with him. I don't do that to him, but
yeah, I'll shut it off or turn it on for other people. But I mean, I have to learn where that comfort level is with you, just like you do with me. So
but I roast people all the time.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Mike's always getting roasted. I mean, I would now, Randy, as a convention promoter.
Yeah.
Would you be worried about that? Are you if you knew that you were bringing people to a convention? For example, I have a screenshot of where Dan Slott tweeted me to try to get his hordes to come after me. Uh-huh. Now, I've recently found a company that will print and frame tweets. And I'm gonna get. I want that tweet framed, and
it's like a badge of honor, you know.
Yeah. My plan is to actually take it to a convention when Dan is there and ask him to sign it. I know he's not going to. I know he's probably going to
get kicked out for that.
Get it done as the big giant retractable banner behind you.
Oh yeah.
Like, Dan, could you sign this, please? Get him. Get this guy. Security. Get him out of here. I'm like,
You know what? At a show, depending upon the type of baby that some of these professionals might be. If I were Dan, I'd laugh it off and sign it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then tell you to get the fuck out of your face. Here you go. Get the fuck out of my face.
Wouldn't be the way it would go down. The way it will go down is big professional there on big dollars on someone's budget, wants to be treated like royalty, gets a slap in the face from Variant. That goes to a complaint. And then next thing you know, the organizers are bringing Variant around back for a conversation.
Probably. Yeah.
But with that said, I finally made Bleeding Cool. I guarantee you Bleeding Cool will pick that up. Obnoxious fanboy removed from show.
I was going to say the only way Dick Johnson would put that up there is if it was detrimental to you.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a picture of you with the hood up and the raccoon hat or something that makes you look like really bad.
Yeah, it's got to be a picture of me snarling or something like. Yeah. It has to be unflattering. It can't be a good picture.
Getting dragged out by two guards.
Can I take a stab at the question?
Sure.
All right. So, like John there, I don't get to go to many conventions, and the one I did, they already exiled me. But you know, that's not to say I'll never be back, especially now things are growing for me, right? You know, I'm sure, you know, opportunities are going to come back around. But I'm not too worried about, running into someone that I may have pissed off or pissed off me. I mean, first of all, I'm in Canada. Chances of me being down in the States near anyone's neck of the woods is slim to probably none. Right. But let's say that I was, you know, it reminds me of like, when you hear about internet fights and you see the memes of the two dogs barking at each other, but they're divided by a fence. Right. And the minute you remove the fence, they sort of sniff each other and walk away. Chances are that's probably how most of that's going to go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And John, said something about, just being professional. So if you're at a con, you're in someone's yard, you're playing by the rules, is the last thing you're going to do is probably walk up to someone else's table and pick a fight. You know what I mean? I'm sure everyone knows how to be civil and be cordial in a setting, and then you take your beef outside later on after hours somewhere.
I'll see you at Applebee's, motherfucker.
Right?
Darian, didn't you say you saw somebody's table get tipped over?
Yeah. Well, that was
Really?
that was at a show. Yeah. That was about. I had. Was I exhibiting yet? What happened was this guy. Still remember it like it was yesterday. I heard the loogie first, the pull for the loogie. That I heard that first, and I'm like, and then as I looked over, I seen this guy between banners. He was looking at a book. He spat in it, just hawked this big loogie in this book, this comic. He closed it and flung it at the guy like that, and the guy was sitting down, and then the guy, the artist was sitting down, or the creator of the book was sitting down, and then the guy who been backed up, drew two middle fingers, and then flipped the entire table over. And when he flipped the table over, he was already walking, like he just flipped it and started walking away. And of course, comics and shit go everywhere. And the artist finally stands up and says, "Hey, someone get that guy." And I was thinking, like, wow, how bad is that guy's book? But that's what I'm thinking, like, the entire time. But yeah, I don't know what happened. To this day, I don't know what happened. I don't know what situation occurred for him to have to spit in that guy's book and put the table over. I've thought about it several ways. I've talked to people, and they're like, it had to be over money. It had to be over it just had to be something deep and personal for you to spit in the book and then put the guy's whole table over. I understand that security did catch the guy and put him out, but I mean, that's what I remember from that show. That guy getting his book spat in. For that reason, I think the possibility of physical altercations at shows it's there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they've already happened. I mean, look at Jeremy Hamley, a couple of years back when he got assaulted at a convention he went to, it was across the street. The guy came up to him and said, "Hey, are you Jeremy Hamley?" Jeremy turns around thinking he's going to shake hands with the fan. He goes, "Yeah, I am." Next, he gets clocked in the head 10 times.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Mike, are you worried?
Sorry?
Are you worried about it, Mike? Are you worried that maybe, I mean, you haven't burned any bridges, but I mean...
No, I haven't burned any bridges. There is one creator in the Netherlands that can totally suck on it. Because, and this was the first time I went to a convention in the first place. And this is both from the conventions part and that creator. So there was, so I ordered 2 meters, which is just over 2 yards, right? And I only got 1. First of all, well, I paid for it too, so screw that convention. Mm-hmm. But second of all, across from me was a girl selling one tiny booklet, and having 6 meters to herself. And I just went, that's bullshit. So,
did you bring up the fact that you didn't get your your
I
meters?
Did. I did. And the organizer was like, "Yeah, we were out of space," and I was like, "Well, clearly you weren't, because that bitch over there."
Let me ask you this question, Mike. Was she cute?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that her belly button would arrive 15 minutes before the rest of her days.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, because all I know is that really, really helps in comics. Like and
So I've
and
heard.
I'm not no. I'm not like downplaying. Like, you use whatever you can to sell what you've got. I've got no beef with that. What I do have an issue with is, like, so I'll see somebody at a convention and she's cute or whatever. She's dressed up all cute, and the stuff she's selling isn't great. You know, it's fan art or whatever. And then here I am with 15 years of experience working on this with it. I don't know what her background is, but like, I have a degree in animation. I'm now turning out some of the best work of my career. It's successfully crowdfunded. It's printed exactly the way I wanted. So it's a quality book as well. And I can barely get people to look at it. But this girl who's cute, who's selling cutesy tchotchke type stuff, has like a line around the corner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, good for her. But on the other hand, I'm like, sometimes I get a parent who's willing to buy this book for their kid. And they're like, oh, look, it's superhero dogs. And the kid's like, nah. And they walk away. And I'm like, that $5 doesn't mean a lot to them, but that $5 meant a lot to me for that sale. So I was just curious to see if maybe that's why she got 6
those
meters.
people lining up around the block for the tchotchkes, we have a name for those. Those are called simps.
Well, you know, there's a young lady, and she's been on a couple of pages where they talked about her. She does her I guess her offense is that she doesn't really draw the images. She runs them through Photoshop, adds a splatter effect to them, and she goes to Comic-Con. She sells them. The problem is, she's a very cute redhead.
Still plagiarism.
Yeah, and there's like, so I'm sitting there like, she can steal my art. It's okay. I mean, I admit it. I've simped for her. And I remember she got kicked out of a con. I was there. I couldn't believe it. I was so bad. I told my wife, I said, she could sit at our table. She didn't have to leave. Why did they kick her out? But yeah, it is a thing where you're right, John, that if the person is, yeah, it helps, definitely helps.
That's why there's booth babes. I know one of the best conventions I ever had was the very, very first one I ever did. And the woman I was dating at the time dressed up very cute, very punk rock, had the little plaid skirt and like the Bi-Hawk and everything. And we did extremely well at that show. And that relationship didn't end up lasting. But I know that that's the important part. And it's because a lot of the fan base, and this is, or I shouldn't say a lot of the fan base, but a good number of the fan base, they really do have trouble talking to somebody. They really do have. I've had kids come up to me who stand in front of my table and talk to me about anime. And I'm like, that's fine, but there's nothing at my booth that's anime related. For 25 minutes. And I'm like, you are blocking the view of all these other people who could potentially be customers. I know you're not going to buy anything. And you're very awkwardly like taking up my time when I could be working on like art or trying to hawk my merch or whatever. And so there's a huge truth to that element that like these individuals have a hard time being social and they get lost in this hobby. But if you have a female, and I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter if she's the booth babe type or not. If you have a female at your table, whether she's the creator or she's helping or whatnot, it kind of eases that tension for a lot of people coming up to your booth and can kind of make or break things, especially if they know what they're talking about. Like if you just hire a model and she's just standing there holding the book and you're like, oh, well, what do you think of this book? And she's like, I don't know. I don't read this. I'm being paid $500 to stand here and wear a bikini or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you have a friend or a family member, or girlfriend, partner, what have you, co-creator on your book, sitting with you, and she's knowledgeable about the product, like, you're going to do a lot better. And I hate that because that plays into the whole sexist ideal, but it is what it is.
I've had my wife is one of my booth girls, but so are a lot of her friends. So they'll come in and they'll do stuff for me. When I did have regular booth girls, one of my wife, I tried to coach them. I would set up a date and I'd say, "Hey, I'm gonna buy lunch and I'll give you all $20. Just show up. I'm gonna walk through the books with you." And some of them would show up, others wouldn't. And you could tell there's definite difference in performance. I always thought it was really weird when the girls would show up and they get to Comic-Con and they take off. And you're like, "Where are you going?" "I've never been to any place like this before." Or my favorite was when I thought one guy was a fan. I said, "Oh, he must be a fan. He must be he's probably shy and he doesn't want to come and say hi to these girls that at my booth." And so 20 minutes later, the guy comes over and he starts talking to one of the booth girls. Then he leaves and he comes back and he brings her lunch. And he sits there and he stands back again in the aisle. And I'm like, and she starts eating lunch. I say, hey, you shouldn't eat that. You don't know where that guy got, if he did something to it or not. And she says, "Oh no, that's my boyfriend."
Yeah.
What?
And yeah. So what he had done was he had bought a ticket to the convention and he was going to stand there in the aisle the entire show and bodyguard her. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Move. And so me and my wife, when we got together and we still had booth girls, we made rules against that. Like, look, your boyfriend isn't going to come stand at the show, hang out. That's not going to happen. Guys, the final topic for today is cashing in. I was in a chat the other night and I was talking to some different creators, and some one creator told me that he had a guy wrote him a nasty email, real nasty email, and it was about his prices. And here's the topic: crowdfunded comics are showing up at cons with the elevated campaign pricing and none of the extras that came with the original offering. Some would be fans who are late to the party are unhappy about it and say it hurts creators' chances of widening their audience. Now, so again, what's happening here is that, your $25 comic that came in the crowdfunding campaign with a keychain, with a bookmark, with a print, all for $25 out the door, is now showing up at Comic-Con for $25 with none of that. My personal belief is, yeah, I got that because I was an early supporter. I was an early adopter. I bought the collector's edition, basically. That's
absolutely. Yeah. I think people who get upset about that are these same people that I hear every campaign I run. I'll buy it when it comes out. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, look, like, the reason the campaign's being held is so it comes out. Yeah. I'm actually on the second part of a campaign for the same book because my printer that I was going to use is on a hiatus because of scheduling conflicts and scheduling issues. So I had to find another printer that's going to do the same work, but of course they're more money. So I'm like, while we raised 100% for the original printer, now I got to double that so I can make sure I get all my variant covers printed and my blank cover printed and stuff like that. My big beef is for myself on the reverse side, where I feel like my crowdfunding costs are higher. And so a book that I sell on a tier for $25, somebody picks it up, and then maybe when it comes out, I'm selling it for $15 or $20. And I feel bad about the people who spent the $25 on it, but all those people reverse of what you're talking about, Varian, are, they understand that this is pre-ordering, this is crowdfunding, this is ensuring that this product comes out. None of those people have a beef with it, but then some of the people who come to the show are like, oh, you're still charging that much? Like, didn't you get this funded? You should be giving it away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, your dentist already paid off his house, right? Like, he should be giving me caps for free now, right? So I don't know.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I mean, and I don't believe that. I mean, it's not elevated pricing. It's okay. I'm gonna charge $25 for this book, and for you backing it now, I'm going to give you, again, this keychain, this little extras, these prints, these cards, trading cards. You're gonna get all this. That's the same as getting to, while supplies last almost. It's like, I get what's happening. People are getting the book, they're going online, they're finding the campaign, and they're seeing, oh man, look, if I would have got it from this guy then, I would have got a bookmark. Hey, this guy owes me a bookmark. I didn't get all of my package. I mean, they're treating it like they bought an item from, the store, and they got home and opened the box and it's not all there.
Well, that's exactly what it is. They don't understand the difference. And here's the other thing, though. I mean, I've had tchotchkes at my table, prints, buttons, stickers, you know what I mean? All there, they don't buy them anyway. Most people, when they come to a con, they're looking for the meat and potatoes. They're looking for the book, right? And, there's always going to be, an entry buy-in, say for Niobe, right? There's always going to be like something on, you can buy that book for $10, no problem. Cover A, whatever. When you start talking about the higher end variants, especially the ones where you're paying like up to $1,000 to have an artist do it for you, yeah, you can probably charge a few extra bucks for that. It's called supply and demand. When Paul Green covers on eBay are getting flipped for $150, that ought to tell you something. You know what I mean?
Well, I think now, Randy, your book, the book that you did for Indie Vault, the Revolt book, came with no extras.
No
extras.
No.
But the thing is, if there's any extra copies available, and you take them to cons and they sell out, that's it. You're not going back for any additional print run. As a matter of fact, the next time people get that Revolt book is going to be the national. Is it fair to say pared down version?
No, it's broken up into floppies, into 32-page books for the direct market. Yeah.
So, but those fans can't. They might come and say, "Oh man, if I would have known about this earlier."
And the roster is going to be completely different. Well, not completely different, but there are some stories in the Revolt book that'll be in the direct market book, and some stories that won't. Mm-hmm. So not everything in that book is going to make it.
Right. So it's what would you tell a fan, Randy, who says, "Hey, I could have bought your book on crowdfunding 3 months ago and got extra stuff. I paid the same price yesterday at the show, and I didn't get any of that."
Well, they didn't get extra stuff, but my explanation of that is that was the crowd, that was the campaign. This is here. It's two different deals.
They're making campaign promises. That's how they get in office. See?
Well, no, the campaign is one thing. Well, the leader for the campaign, the buy-in, we offered larger pages if they bought in. So the books went from what was probably going to be 100 pages up to 140 by the time the entire campaign was done. That's because I wanted to make a book that people could read that had people from Indie Vault, the regular, at the time, the regular contributors that were always on the air. I wanted somebody to, when they saw Marv online in one of our shows, to be able to pick up a Revolt book and go, is there a Marv story in here? Yes, there is. This is what the type of stuff that Marv does, because everybody has a different style. Everybody has a different specialty. And there are so many just incredibly talented people that have been on this show.
Do you think that the fans, because people I spoke to said, the fans that they said it hurts the audience. It hurts. You can't widen your audience that way. That book should now be cheaper because all those items aren't coming with it.
No. Those items were limited time special offer.
Yeah.
Personally, I didn't offer any added stuff to the book because I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. Having a silver or a metal bookmark is kind of cool, but having one extra piece of paper that had the character's image on it doesn't mean a lot to me. Getting an extra print, unless it's some special character that I really liked and it has an autograph by the artist on it, it doesn't mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, the added incentives are cool. What are you going to do with a sticker? I got a furnace thing above my head here where I put all them stickers. I don't care. It's a sticker.
I got too much tchotchkes. Dude. I got 2 boxes overloading with stickers, bookmarks, coasters, you name it. Bro.
I got a back wall here filled with stuff, with badges and tchotchkes and stuff. There's my devil duck.
Yeah, I don't want any more tchotchkes.
I got that from Bernie Wrightson, you know. What they're all little mementos of stuff. It's nice to have, but seeing a sticker on somebody's table that I didn't get, that you know, because I campaigned his book, or that it's not going to hurt me. You know, it's a sticker. Oh, that's nice. It's a nice sticker.
It just sounds like something that someone is just using to nitpick and bitch about.
Yeah, it's exactly it.
Somebody posted on I forget where it was, but it was here on Facebook, and there was a person who contacted them via their crowdfunding campaign, and the person was releasing their webcomic in a physical format, and they called it an episode instead of an issue or some other terminology. Yeah. And the person was just like, well, I was going to back your campaign, but I'm not going to now because you're calling it an episode. And I'm like, that's the stupidest reason. That's somebody who wasn't going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
That's that person at the convention who's like, I'll be back. You know, you're not coming back.
Yeah, we used to call them Arnold's. I'll be back.
Yeah.
That's how they,
it's like they're the quote unquote critics.
Yeah, it's like taking anybody seriously on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would so yeah, I mean, I guess the consensus here, guys, is that no, you're not getting that whole thing. Now, would you guys, I guess I gotta ask this, would you guys be open to providing that same package at a convention?
Oh yeah.
For the same price, or would you raise it?
Yeah.
The same price.
Same price. So you are open to doing it. It's just
well, if I lower my prices for my comics on cons anyway, you know, and it's the same on crowdfunding campaigns. Like back issues are cheaper, and then once they're funded, you know, on cons and stuff, then instead of €10 that you pay for a new issue, you pay 8, but you don't get any extras. So, and you know, all the extra stuff that I still have left, you know, I'll put in there, and you get maybe a bookmark with it or whatever. Because I already paid for it anyway. It's funded, it's done. So, you know, have a little bit of extra stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I would do it. One, I don't want to chase down all those tchotchkes all the time. But two is, if you start providing everything that you give out in your crowdfunding campaign, what's special about your crowdfunding campaign now?
Got to.
Yeah.
There you go.
The other, for me, I don't really include a lot of extras. I haven't done enough where like I've had stretch goals. So there wasn't a lot of things like stickers or, you know, buttons or anything like that. I'm a real meat and potatoes kind of guy. Like the fact that I have 2 variant covers and a retailer incentive and a blank cover on top of my regular cover is kind of hard for me to comprehend, because that's not what I do. Yeah. I want the book to sell itself, but I realize that it needs that little bit of oomph, and having some of these artists work on these variant covers is drawing attention, not just to the product itself, but these artists are extremely skilled. They've been doing this for years. One of them is really up and coming in the industry doing retailer incentives, and it's just nice to be able to have people who are passionate about what I'm doing and want to get involved. But one of the things I wanted to ask Varian and the rest of the panel is, I've seen a couple of these crowdfunding books. Berserker is one of them. Berserker is probably the most well-known one, that crowdfunded at an insanely successful amount of money and then got put out. I forget who's putting it out.
Boom Studios.
Boom Studios. So did the people who backed the campaign get the Boom Studios books, or did the people who backed the campaign get the Kickstarter books? That's my big question, because if you make that much money or you have an in somewhere and you shop your book there, like if I back Indie Volt on something, and I know you guys have your own distribution, but let's just say I back Indie Volt and suddenly it's picked up by Top Cow. If I see a Top Cow version of that book show up in my mailbox, but it's not an extra, I'm going to be annoyed because I didn't back the Top Cow version of that. I didn't back somebody else putting their corporate money into this. I backed the little engine that could. So I have a question about how do people feel about that? Because I wouldn't be okay with that.
Well, assuming that actually happens, that would pretty much suck, right? I don't know the case in Berserker. I didn't back it. I bought it when it came out in shops, you know what I mean? Which is a whole other debate, because what we see is a lot of people who crowdfund books and then they end up being in shops and you can get them for a lot cheaper and no shipping, you know, White Widow being one of them, Brian De Polito's Lady Death being another one of them, you know? But, you know, I would like very much to know if anyone in the chat has backed Berserker. Did they send you the standard Boom Studios version, or was, well, you know, because I don't know what the Kickstarter book was like. Is it supposed to be something extra special?
It was supposed to be special. It was supposed to be special. I'm not sure if anybody who's gotten it. I'm not sure if they shipped that book yet. Have they?
I don't know.
I was under the impression it was a collected version.
Yeah.
That the campaign said that it was the collected set.
Yeah. Now that's a bit different than the Brightwire situation where Red Rooster was out to people in Walmart before people who backed the book got it.
Yeah.
Oops. Which was a mistake they made, but you know, a mistake that some people say could have been avoided, easily avoided. But
well, the thing, the big issue that I have is like, you have a writer like Matt Kent, you have a superstar like Keanu Reeves, you have an artist like it's Carrie Nord, right? Or
Steve Garvey, I thought.
I got it right here. I'll find out.
Yeah. But Ron Garney, that's who it is.
Ron Garney, sorry, yeah.
So you have this team that can do it. You know they can do it. And on the back of the success of a 30-plus year movie career of Keanu Reeves, I get wanting people to be a part of that. But at the same time, it's just like Keanu Reeves could have just walked into any comic book publisher and just been like, hey, I got this idea.
Yeah.
And they would have been like, you know, here's a check, go find your creative team. Like, so it's a lot different. And I know I had somebody ask me that, and I think they asked me kind of in a joking manner, because there's a former local creator here in Tucson. He lives in, I don't know where he lives now. He's in California, I think. And he ran a crowdfunding campaign. And even before the PDF copies got to people, that book had been picked up by a creator-owned studio and was on comic book shelves. And I don't know if the people who backed it got the indie versions, got the Kickstarter versions, or if they got the Top Cow versions. And so one of my friends asked me about that. He was just like, so are you going to do this with your book? And I was like, no, man. Like, I will shop it around, but that's after the 5th issue in the miniseries is done, is crowdfunded and fulfilled. I'm not going to do that to, you know, I don't have a big fan base. So why would I do that to my fan base that's been loyal to me and has been there the entire time? You know, it's not hard to fulfill less than 100 backers, and still then have time to shop it around afterwards.
Yeah.
So
and I had a book that I backed that it's a very tangled situation, but I had a book that I backed that by the time it got to me, the book was completely different. The item that I ordered was I guess I'd have to ask you this, because John, you mentioned that if the book comes to you different, with a different trade dress than what you ordered it as, that's an issue. Is that would that be okay if the company's name changed, or is that or does it have to be the actual entity changed?
So I would be fine with it if it's still the same product.
Okay.
So if let's say you were ABC Comics, and for whatever reason, you had a falling out and you had to, change your masthead or something like that. Now you're Acme Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're still delivering to me the same book, but here's the other thing, you have updates on your crowdfunding campaign. So you can update people and be like, look, we're still delivering the book. We just wanted to let you know, due to circumstances beyond our control, we're now Acme Comics. So the book delivering to you is going to be this.
Yeah.
But if it's not an indie, like let's say Marvel picked it up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm getting a Marvel comic in mine, and it's Berserker Marvel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, all right, that's really weird. Like, why wasn't I notified of this? Because if I wanted that, I could pay, $4 or $5 at the LCS in like 2 months.
Yeah.
Yep.
It happens. I mean, like I said, I ordered a project, and what I ordered came completely different than what I got. I still got something, which I guess I should be happy about, but it came completely different. So that was interesting that you brought that up.
That sounds like a rarity, though. How often do you really see that go down? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You just don't get the book.
well, that's the thing with years ago when Mystery Science Theater 3000 ran their crowdfunding campaign. It was supposed to be for a box set of those 12 episodes that got picked up by Netflix. And as far as I understand, none of those people ever got their DVDs. Like it got picked up by Netflix because of how successful the campaign was, and that there was this nostalgia boost. And I'm still like, wait a minute. So I backed your campaign. I didn't, because I didn't know about it. But like, I backed your campaign, and now I got to subscribe to Netflix and pay $14 a month to watch something that I already paid $50 for.
Yeah.
Like, well, what is that? How does that work?
Yeah. Did I pay $50 for you guys to go on production, or did I pay $15 for the D? Yeah, it's weird. That would not be acceptable. But there are people still out there looking for campaigns. Facebook usually. I'm sorry I don't see your name up there. It says I have seen a few books that I've backed, haven't received the awards yet, but it's being sold at cons currently. I'm not too excited about that. Oh yeah,
No.
Randy and I both have a book that we backed, and the creator. I joked about it. The creator's online
Boasting
at cons, pictures every day. Hey, I'm selling the books. Look at this.
Selling my
Check it
book?
out.
Yep.
That bothers me a little bit. And there is a
Don't do
book I
that.
saw on Facebook recently myself that I don't know if that's the case, but I'm thinking that it is. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to reach out to this guy and find out what's going on, because if it is the same guy, that means he was on my show, which meant we promoted him, right?
Yeah.
And and then to go to cons and flash it all around, and then I get my buddy message me, hey LP, what's the word on this book and DVD? I haven't gotten it yet. It makes me, by proxy look bad. Not as bad as they look, mind you, but at the same time, it's like, oh crap,
Well, yeah, because
right.
I mean, people get mad. They're like, hey, do you know about this? This particular person, I reached out. I'm like, hey, am I expecting my books anytime soon? And they said, no, they're at the printer. These are just the first bundle the printer sent to me, and I had a con to go to, so I figured.
What the hell?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't like
that.
Yeah.
That's almost a Mitch Breitweiser move. Like, well, we're gonna put them in Walmart first. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We're gonna, when it comes right down to it, the people that made you be able to make this book possible in the first place, right? Because without them, you would have nothing. Definitely should be the first ones that get served.
I
Yes.
agree.
Giving you a bell, Larry.
Ding.
What are you gonna say, John? You said something. I'm sorry.
I forget.
Okay.
I was just going to say that would really make me mad too, because I mean, there was a guy who would do that, but it was with action figures. And he would have these big crowdfunding campaigns, and then he would take the prototypes to the conventions, and he'd sell the prototypes, and nobody ever got those figures. And there were actually like people showing up at his hotel rooms at conventions, like kicking the door in and being like, what do you have here that I can take with me? Because I funded this, and there might have been like a case, and that person was just like, you go stand over there in the corner, I'm taking this case, and there's nothing you can do about it. I got taken by that guy too. I backed a crowdfunding campaign. I prepaid for a figure that was supposed to be at San Diego Comic-Con, and he was just like, "Oh, it's on a boat in China. It hasn't cleared customs yet." And I'm like, "Okay, well that happens." And then I reached out to him again, and then the company changed names, but they were keeping the same color scheme, same logo type, all this other stuff. And the guy's like, "We're not that company. That's a completely different company." And I was just like, "Your name is attached to both companies, and you're still. It's only $40, man. Give me my $40 back." Yeah. Like, you know what? Just keep it. I don't even care anymore. Like,
well, you know, when you say that, people went to his hotel room. That lends credence to what I said about the convention season this summer.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I know all the crowdfunding platforms now, and I know they've been doing this for a while, but they have that disclaimer when you check out and you enter your credit card info. It says no guarantees. We hold no responsibility. You need to keep updated with these creators, and I get that. And 90% of the time when I'm backing something, like, it's because I've talked to the person online, I've watched their pitch. Some of the stuff I've backed from some of the shows that even you've done, Varian, I've already started receiving some of that stuff, which is awesome. I wasn't necessarily counting on it being this fast, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I backed it because I wanted to see this person succeed. And I believe in that. And I want people to want me to succeed too. So I'm totally down with that. If I never receive something, or it takes a year and a half, like I said, with the printing issue that I'm having, that I had to seek another printer, one of the campaigns I backed was using that same printing program. And I just barely got my stuff from them this past week. And that campaign ended in 2020. Yeah. So they had to keep having all these like printing issues resolved. And then I just got this like gigantic box with like 150 comics in it. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm willing to wait.
Yeah.
It's sad though that's become almost the norm, right? You know, it's like your boy Zach, right, went out and posted on his Expendables Indiegogo update. And in that, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said late books are the norm, you know, not the exception. And I had to go and make a video on that and like contradict him. I'm like, look, there are hundreds and hundreds of creators out there who operate on small budgets just like I do. We can manage to get our books out on time, yet you're making $500,000 and you can't get this book out. You know what I mean? There's a problem here, and it's not. And for him to try and, you know, brush it away like it's normal for books to be 2 years late. No, it's not.
Well, I think that it also becomes a problem when you're doing too many books.
Yeah, he's juggling 5 campaigns at once.
Yeah, instead of I didn't get a bill, Randy. What the heck? He's doing too many books. He's got like 4 campaigns, I think, right now open. How do you focus on doing one?
I'm trying to stay out of the Zach situation because for fear that I'll jump on a gigantic soapbox and start wiggling my finger at the camera. Because one of the joys, and I mean this sincerely, about doing Indie Volt is that you get to see and hear and look and see people make, quite frankly, boneheaded mistakes.
Yes.
And you go, that's part of our program, is to go, that guy made a boneheaded mistake. Don't be like that guy. You know?
Exactly.
And that's and I'm gonna get on a soapbox. So stop.
He's getting ready.
I'm gonna step away.
And Daphne just posted that it's due to poor planning. And
yes,
and I do agree.
Yes.
No, there are extenuating circumstances in everybody's case, and a lot of those circumstances become very bad excuses. So, and I'm hearing that a lot because I watch that guy's videos, and I hear all of his excuses, and it's all like, no, dude, get the book out. What the hell's wrong with you?
Last year,
and he does have problems. He does, and he should not have done that many campaigns that fast, that quickly, but he thought he was a machine and he wasn't. It's that simple.
Yeah.
He thought he had it all worked out and he didn't. And now he's going to have to get it worked out. But every time that you fail your deadline, every time that you come up with an excuse, every time you have a bad reasoning or you have a bad turn, that costs you your audience.
It costs us
Yes.
too, though, because here's the problem.
And it hurts everybody.
Because someone that could be someone's very first time experience a crowdfunding campaign,
Yes.
right? They get burned, they get taken for a ride, whatever the situation is. And then all of a sudden they go, you know what? I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to throw away 40, 50 bucks again. Screw that,
Especially the bigger people, because whether they want to be or not, they are role models.
Yeah.
Toledo's a role model. Ethan's a role model. Zach is a role model. Brightwisers are role models. And if they screw up, you hurt everybody. You hurt the entire art form. So don't make promises you can't keep. Don't make multiple promises that suddenly turn into a big domino effect problem. And we've seen enough of those happen. That the like I said, Indie Volt is the I think that they're the ones that sit here and can sit back and go, yeah, that there was a problem. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't be like that.
We try. I mean, like I had a talk with a person that we had on the program. I was very good friends with the person. I got their book, and it got shipped to me in a way that was not. I mean, this is like 2 weeks ago. Was like, wow, this is how you shipped it? Like, they went kind of unnecessary with like, they rigged it to the point where it was unnecessary. Like, this could have all been fixed with a Gemini mailer.
Yep.
Like, why didn't you just buy? They're $1. They're about $1 a piece.
Yep.
Buy the Gemini mailers. I understand it's a cost, but buy it. You don't have this. That's where you're not trying to go get 2 pieces of cardboard and then you're taping around the cardboard.
Dude, that's I did that for 2 campaigns straight before I discovered the magic of a Gemini. Never will I go back, sir.
Yeah, My problem with that is like my comics don't fit in a Gemini mailer. They're too big.
No, sir.
Yep.
No. Actually, Mike, we got Pops Van Zant sent me your book, your Life on Horror book, in a Gemini mailer.
Really? Because I keep hearing like they're
they make different sizes. They make different sizes.
Really?
They made different, but he used the comic book sized one and he formatted it in a way. Contact him and ask him what he did.
Yeah, I would love to know that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's a Gemini mailer. I got it. It was in the Indie Volt mailbox. I had to go to the store. Where we mailbox is at, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's in a gem. Because I was expecting it to be in a pizza box or something. Because I knew how big.
I got letterbox mailers. You know, they're an inch high, and they fit in the letterbox, no problem.
Yeah.
So
I was either Pops folded it in half or put it in the box, or he just but no, it was actually he put it in a Gemini mailer.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, good to know. Then I'm gonna order some. Yeah.
Leave it to Pops to figure out how to roll it properly.
If you are that's messed up. If you are looking for Gemini mailers, folks,
I love
Gemini,
you, Pops. I do. I love you like a brother.
Gemini mailers is one of our sponsors. Use code VOLT10 VOLT10 if you're buying them from their shop. GeminiComicsSupply.com, 10% discount on those Gemini mailers. Yeah, guys, that's it for today. I want to thank you for joining me. You guys are always welcome to come on the show. There's been another episode of Special Issues. Hopefully, we've opened we've opened some ears, opened some minds. The conversations can continue. Before we get out of here, though, I want you guys to tell our audience where they can find you at. Let's start with Niobe, Larry Higgins. Where can they find you at?
Starting with me, Niobe Comic on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's pretty much all the same, but I really just want to say keep your eyes out. July 28th, the new preview magazine comes out. That's where Exciting Comics 17 is going to be. Grab the code and, order the book.
Cool. We'll be looking out for that. Exciting Comics number 17. And there's a Niobe cover, correct?
Oh, yeah. She's on the cover, drawn by Randy Green of Witchblade fame.
Cool. and Mr. Mike Jimmy.
Hey everyone, you can find me on Twitter at @and_ends. You can find me on Indiegogo with Live from Cora, now in demand. We received the proof copies only earlier last week. And, you know, I'm always on Facebook, I'm always on Twitter, Mike Jimmy de Bruin, and Fairies and Ends. And yeah, go check out Live from Cora. We're 4 backers away from our last stretch goal, so I'm really excited.
Very cool. Very cool. I see that Life of Core is in my it's in my me and Lola share Indiegogo account. So there are books showing up that I didn't buy, and I'm like, I know I was gonna get Life on Core, but like, why is it here already? I'm like, oh, she bought it, which means I saved money.
She backed it during backer shots because I had a discount here.
Yeah. Oh. So yeah, she was smart about it. Very good, very good. John, where can they find you at, sir?
I am on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Basically, what I'm trying to promote right now is my book, The Bubba Patrol. If you look up The Bubba Patrol on Facebook or just at Bubba Patrol on Instagram, we've got 16 days left on the campaign for issue number 4 of The Bubba Patrol. It's only on Indiegogo. And a lot of great tiers to pick from, including add-ons for all the back issues at cover price. So, and shipping is included in all your tier prices too. So you're not going to pay anything extra on that.
John, I want you to hang out after we end the show. I want you to hang out and ask you something about
Yeah.
And Mr. Zim, how about you?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find Arrow Comics 4.0 through Linktree. We have a lot of platforms in Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. There will be some new content up on YouTube here shortly. I just have to put it together. And look for Arrow Comics 4.0 starting in August. We'll have some 4 books a month available through Liberty Entertainment Distribution for retailers to pick up on. That's www.ledg.us. And we also want to point out that we've talked about them today, and we're happy to have them as a sponsor. You can go over and get your Gemini mailers over at Gemini Comics Supply with a coupon code VOLT10, VOLT10, and get 10% off of your order. Do that for us and on us, please. Because everybody will tell you Gemini mailers are the way to mail out your packages safely, especially for your crowdfunding campaigns. Great for your backers. Yeah.
Your backers will know that you care enough to send the very best.
Yep, very happy to have them as a sponsor.
Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to get out of here. Next week on Special Issues, we'll be back again Sunday. I'm going to be in a different station because right now this is where Brandon does Pitches Be Crazy. And everything is left-handed. Brandon's left-handed, if anyone knows. I don't know if you guys know this, but he's left-handed. So everything is to my left, and it's weird.
We need to put up a green screen instead of a shower curtain too.
That's a door wall. But,
I'm a good one to talk. I got a sheet right back there.
That's a door wall for curtain in front of it. I don't know why we have a curtain in front of the blinds. It's very weird.
Sure,
but yeah,
sure looks like a shower curtain to me.
I would, guys, please make sure you guys like, subscribe to Indie Vote. We're getting very close to 1,000 subs. We like to very much have to worry about what we say. And
I promise to read for the first month all the super chats we get once we get monetized in cartoon voices.
oh, nice.
I can do it. Hey, boo boo. You look pretty good in that picnic basket. You look there, all right. Hey, Rocky. I can do it.
Thank you guys for watching. Awesome. We'll see you back here Tuesday night at 9 p.m. for Indie Vote Live Wire, and Wednesday night Geekgasm. Thursday morning, Indie Vote Breakfast Buzz. Saturday, the Indie Vote Pitches Be Crazy, followed later that night by the Indie Princesses backer shots, and then Sunday morning at 9 a.m. to Sunday Funnies. Just check the Indie Vote Facebook for the schedule. It's all at the top.
Always something on. You got a busy schedule, brother.
Oh man, it's always something on.
Yeah. Hey, and it only gets crazier from here.
Yeah.
So, did you mention the awards? Mention the award.
September 18th, Indie Vote Awards. Yep, check it out. It's getting very, very close. I was just talking to them. Got an email the other day. September 18th. If you haven't registered your book, do so now. The fan vote will be going out tomorrow, Monday. So if you want your book recognized and you want your fans to come support you and get you recognized, that vote will be up there on Indie Vote's Facebook tomorrow. Go check that out as well. IndieVoteAwards.com.
I thought you had a card for the schedule here on the side, and you don't. We need to
No,
put that over
I don't.
here.
Yeah, I will. I'll put it up there.
Yeah, we'll have to stick that up there.
Thank you guys for watching.
We've got the rain though.
Yeah, got the money right. Yeah, got the money right.
Bling.
Yeah,
can't get past that. It's all good.
No, we can't. Thanks for watching Special Issues, guys. We'll see you back here soon. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Take it easy, lovelies.